Now, can you hear me now? Sometimes this thing works without the microphone. Can you hear me now? What? Yo, your camera on. Yep, no sound. So you should have sound now. There should be sound now. Let me know in the chat. If not, I'll probably have to troubleshoot this. I am booming out loud, you guys. I am so tired right now. I'm exhausted, but I wanted to do this show to thank you guys for all the support. Boomer, yes, we hear you now. Thank you so much. Gosh, I can't believe that. Yeah. Um, we've been really busy this morning too, so didn't get much sleep. Got up first thing in the morning, and we started signing black and white books. And Pamela is at the post office right now, mailing books out to you guys. So where am I? So I should probably go back to the beginning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. RT Bear here. We are live from Hack Shack Studios. And I boomed out loud here for a couple minutes. Thank you in the chat for letting me know. So we should have picture and we should have sound. We should be good. So the main reason I came on is to have a little bit of fun and to thank everybody for all the amazing support for the last month or so on the Chrono Mechanics campaign. Yesterday, actually the whole week, we have rallied on that book, and we took it from an okay success to a huge success. So I appreciate everyone for the shout outs, for all the support, and for the backing. This book is going to be amazing, you guys. And also, we got up to the 27K stretch goal, the 25K stretch goal. I can't remember which. We'll go over the campaign, but we got the 4 collector cards in the form of stretch goals. We got the 1 specialty card, so that's 5 cards. We got the guitar pick. You guys got the button, and I believe we added 6 pages. We even got the 6-page addition to the book. So now we have 6 pages added to the 48-page book, and we still have 1 stretch goal to get to the second 6 pages, which will make it 60 pages total, and that will be the ideal place for the book to be. So once again, thank you guys so much for all the support. Man, last week, the whole week was just insane. And yesterday, I had a ton of support from you guys, and EVS threw in some support. So we ended this thing on his live stream last night, and I was exhausted. I could only imagine how exhausted he was because he's 3 hours ahead. So I think towards the end there, we were both just treading water, but appreciate all the support. And you never know how these things are going to do. You put the books out there, and you are never sure of what the response is going to be. But this has been overwhelming. So I'm going to be saying thank you a lot in this, and I'm going to be very gracious throughout this. So you guys prepare. So Jalapeno says, "Hail fart." I don't know who he's directing that at. Is somebody in the chat named Fart? I don't know. I don't know. It sounds very mean. It sounds very mean-spirited, Jalapeno. So if you're saying that to somebody in the chat, you should apologize. That's not nice. Okay, I'm gonna start getting into the chat here a little bit since we have sound and everything. I'm still going through OBS. I got to work things out with StreamYard. I have to pay. I'm gonna get their subscription, and I'm gonna become legit. I'm gonna give StreamYard some of my money. I just need to find time to do all this stuff, so then I can go back to StreamYard because I like that. I like that StreamYard. It's a lot simpler to work. I think that's why I didn't have my microphone, because there's just so many things with OBS that you have to get get set up before you do anything. So boomed in silence. Yes, Mordecai, I did boom in silence. Um, Comics Legend. How long will the in-demand store be open? Still unsure, but probably for a while. Because ideally, I would like to keep it open to get to that 30K stretch goal, which is those extra 6 pages. Like I said, it's well, I've said from the beginning, the book, the story is really a 60-page story, but as far as cost, it had to be initially as a 48-page. So that's all my finances worked out for a 48-page book. So I added the stretch goals in there to get us to the higher money amount so I could justify the extra 6 pages because the talent that I'm working with does not come cheap. So Narwhal is not cheap. So and then I'm working with Render Contender as well on the breakdowns. So I don't mind giving those guys money. I actually enjoy it, but to justify the more pages, I had to get the amount up, the funds up higher. So we have Christina Lynn. Hi, how are you? Comics Legend says, I will back as soon as I receive my black and white comic. Fair enough. I probably said it when I didn't have the mic on, but we signed a bunch of books up this morning, and Pamela, my wife, is at the post office right now shipping off a bunch. So the books are going out daily. So Comic Book Bob, or Comics Legend, I'm sorry, I got you mixed up. Comics Legend, the books are going out daily, and just keep your eye on your post on your mailbox to make sure you get the page or the books. So we have DeWolf, my buddy DeWolf with the Flying Sidecar Press. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So everything should be mellowed out now. So DeWolf, we should be able to do a Pontificators this Friday. If you guys don't know, we do a little show called the Pontificators, where we have a great panel of guys, and we just talk a subject, a kind of nerd culture subject to death. So I think last week or the week before we did Star Wars. So we kind of talked about the new Star Wars to death. That's a joke. Christina says, congrats. Thank you so much. And all that congratulations should go back to you guys, because without the funding, there wouldn't be a book. I could draw it. I could put all the time and effort into it. But if I don't have the funds to put out the book, to print it, and to pay all the guys, then it simply won't exist. So it is a very symbiotic relationship here. And you guys are a big component in making these funding campaigns work and making these books a reality. So I do thank you. And like I said, I'm saying that a lot. I'm going to be saying that a lot. Yes, Comics Legend, Miss Thibert is the editor. She's also co-writer on this Chrono Mechanics story. So King Crow says, smash that like. Yes, I would appreciate it. And actually, I'm going to do something fun if I can figure out how the hell to do all this stuff. And I have something fun to share that's non-Chrono related, which will be a nice change of pace. Hey, we have Shinto in the house. How are you, brother? Okay, let's see. So I hit this. And so now I'm going to go here just so I don't look like an idiot. And I'm going to screen share. Okay, screen share, and then come over here, and then come to here. So hopefully, let me see. Yeah, you guys should be seeing this. So this is from Popular Everything, and somebody sent this to me. I thought it was fun. It's not 100% accurate, but it's kind of fun. So, from comics to the big screen, comparing the original book characters with their real life adaptations or adaptations. I guess that's adaptations. Um, however much you consider yourself a comic book fan, it would be near impossible not to recognize the superheroes and villains of the big screen. But how much do you know about how they were originally meant to look? At Popular Everything, we're comparing the ways in which our favorite comic book characters have changed from their initial design. So, what this is it's comparing like the movie versions of the comic book characters to the actual comic book characters. And some of these these comparisons aren't great, but we can also talk about how they're kind of missing the mark. But yeah, obviously there's the Hulk. So which character got gender swapped? How did they completely rewrite? And which characters were supposed to be blue? You're sure to learn a few unexpected things about the biggest supers of Marvel and the DC Universe. We're bringing you side by side photos of today's comic book heavyweights with their original character design. Okay, the secret space beast. Okay, so this is Groot. Um, yeah, some of this, I kind of wish they went back to the original character designs on some of this, but I understand this is probably more normie stuff than, fan, like real comic book fans' knowledge, but it's kind of fun anyway. And I don't know why they showed this baby Groot, because that is definitely a departure, because there was the movie Groot that looked a lot more like the comic book image here. But, there was the original comic Groot that didn't quite look like the one on the right here. So Groot, the tree-like being from Guardians of the Galaxy, won us over as the lovable extraterrestrial. His death in the first film, where he was voiced, what? His death in the first film, where he was voiced by Vin Diesel, left us with a heavy heart until we were introduced by Baby Groot in Volume 2, regrown from the remains of the original. The film interpretation firmly places the character on the side of the good guys. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a big Baby Groot fan. I think he looks kind of silly. That looks like more like a toy action figure or something, like just a really bad toy. But I thought the Groot character himself was cool when he was the big tree. So, but Groot from the comics has an entirely different character. In the Marvel Universe, he is an intergalactic monster who came to Earth intending to kidnap human beings and study them. In stark contrast to the Groot we know from the big screen, the original was a murderous, self-proclaimed monarch of Planet X and overlord of all the timber in the galaxy. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Swordswoman, switch up. Okay, yeah, this I don't know. I thought this was probably a bad departure. I didn't really care for this. I always thought the original Valkyrie design was pretty killer, and I thought she looked more Nordic and it kind of fit better, I thought. But super heroine Valkyrie is introduced to us in Thor Ragnarok. As one of the elite Asgardian warriors, she is the only surviving member of the Valkyrie force that succumbs to alcoholism and a bleak outlook before refining her strength and eventually joining forces with the Avengers. She is also the first openly LGBTQ hero in the Marvel Universe. Okay. But her distinct dark features are a far cry from her original look in the comics. Her raven locks were meant to be pretty blonde, and her eyes are stilly blue. In truth, she wouldn't look out of place in the lineup of of Vikings, yeah, because that's what her origins were. But the film did retain the athletic physique and would be expected that would be expected of an elite warrior. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. I thought she was kind of a cool character in Ragnarok, but I don't think they should have made her Valkyrie. I thought it was a little bit of a misstep there. So I wasn't totally opposed to the character, but I don't think she was quite the Valkyrie of the comics. I really liked Valkyrie when she was in the Defenders. I thought she was a cool addition to that team. So I always liked her in the Defenders. I never read any of like solo adventures of Valkyrie, so I can't say I'm too familiar with the character. But just aesthetically, and I like the way she fit into the super team of the Defenders. And I know I'm old, and I know that's an old comparison, but whatever. Supervillain Thanos is an ambitious space warlord who will stop at nothing to achieve his selfish goals. He's an intimidating figure to behold with his supernatural lavender hue and facial scarring. I didn't know that was. I guess there is some scars, but I thought he was mainly kind of talking about the chin folds, facial scarring. Because I don't remember the comic book one had facial scarring. Hard one to miss, or say no to, for that matter. I will not say no to you. But anyways, I think this is a really bad comparison. I think that's a bad comic book version of Thanos. But anyway, at least they got the coloring right. His approach or his appearance in the Avengers franchise, the Guardians of the Galaxy, is not a big departure from the original state in the comics. His original state in the comics. Excuse me. The creative team retained his most distinctive features, such as color and large stature, and those characteristics, and the lacerations on his face. I don't remember the comic book character having the lacerations. He just had the weird wrinkles. But yeah, I think that was a pretty close like adaptation. I was, for the most part, I was pretty happy with the way they did Thanos, and I still think he's probably one of the better developed villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So this one was a gender swap. I don't know. I did read Doctor Strange in the day when it first came out, and I liked it, but I was never like a hardcore Doctor Strange fan. So when they kind of gender swapped here and things, I didn't mind, because I didn't care that much about the character, to be honest. So the Ancient One, who was played by the renowned actress Tilda Swinton, in the 2016 Marvel superhero film Doctor Strange and the 2019's Avengers Endgame. She played a striking Celtic or Celtic version of the comic book character who mentors Doctor Strange. Through her teachings, Benedict Cumberbatch's character better learns to understand and manipulate the mystic arts. Yeah, I think she worked pretty much the same way the character in the comic book did. She just looked different. So like I said, I wasn't that attached to the character, so the gender swap, it didn't bug me. And I thought she did a really good job. She's just a great actress, so I thought it worked. In the comics, the Ancient One takes on quite a different form. The character is far less androgynous than Swinton's version, taking on the appearance of an elderly Himalayan man. The filmmakers didn't especially desire a female sorcerer supreme as much as they wanted less gender identity, and Swinton was perfectly mysterious enough for that role. Ooh, gender identity, whatever, man. This is weird talk. The original King of the Sea, I don't know, man. I thought he looked pretty badass. Anyway, Aquaman has made a resurgence as superhero films since Jason Momoa was cast as the character Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Justice League, and Aquaman as a half-human, half-Atlantean-born son of an Atlantean demigod and queen. He has a supernatural ability to communicate with marine creatures. He sure as hell does. And he's super strong and he can swim really fast. I thought in the movie, visually, um, I thought, what was it in, was it the Batman Superman or one of the maybe it was the Justice League. I thought the way he swam and the effects were a little weird, but in his own movie it worked pretty good because he swims really fast. So I thought it would be funny to have his feet moving like back and forth really fast. So they managed to make it look like he was more propelled through the water versus too much kicking back and forth. So it was almost like he was flying through the water, which was cool. Jason Momoa is of Hawaiian and Native American descent and has the long dark locks to prove it. But Aquaman has been in the DC universe since 1941, you guys, 1941. And a few changes have been adapted or adopted by filmmakers. The most noticeable difference is that the character, a comic character, is blonde, blue eye, and clean shaven. He wasn't always clean shaven though. Get your facts straight, man. He did have a look where he had the long hair and a beard. So take that, article writer. As anyone could get, clearly higher ups weren't afraid to deviate from people's expectations of this one. It didn't deviate that much, you guys. I mean, he has, the only real deviation is that he has dark hair and not blonde hair. That's really the only deviation. Look at the costume design, man. It's almost identical. I thought this was a great Hollywood reworking of the original comic character. Look at the color of the gold. I'm not really a big saturated color guy, but it looks really cool with the contrast of the water and everything. And they got the gloves right and the green skin tight pants and all that. It could have potentially been pretty corny, but they pulled it off, man. And Jason Momoa looks like a badass here. I did not mind it, and I think Jason Momoa is one of those characters. Like he's an actor that is really only as good as his supporting cast. So he's a good enough actor, but I think you need to have a really strong supporting cast around him to bring him up a notch. And that's just my take on the actor, more or less, than the comparison between comic book and movie. The Vision, man, I thought they nailed this in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just wanted to see more of you know how he can kind of become intangible. I wanted to see more of that because in the moving pictures you don't really get like, well, at least they didn't slow it down to look like killer, like iconically killer, like in the comic books, you know, you have these moments where he's partially in and out of something, and in the film, since he moves so quickly, you don't really get that sense, even though they have it in there, but you don't have like that hero beat, excuse me, or that really cool visual moment that the comic books is able to do. But I think they got it right. And also, I always liked that he could become intangible, but at the same time he could be like super tangible, like indestructibly tangible. I remember once in the comic where he just became like a missile. I forget the villain. I think it was a John Byrne run on the Avengers. And no one could take this villain down. I forgot the name of the character. Oh my gosh, was his name Nemesis or something like that? And he was just kicking all the Avengers' ass, right? So the Vision just kind of flies up almost to the outer atmosphere, right? And then he just free falls down towards the guy. and he just becomes like just rock solid, and he just becomes this force that just plows right into the guy, and just drives him into like a crater. Like they just like he just drives him into the earth, man. It was a killer moment. I still remember that as a kid. Like that, I always thought the Vision was super super cool because you couldn't touch him, or like he could just become like just so strong and indestructible at the same time. I just kind of like that dichotomy of the two powers. There's been other characters that are like that, but they didn't share the same those two powers at the same time, and he can do it at will. So one minute he's intangible like a ghost, and the next minute he's like rock solid. So I think I always thought it would be hard to fight a character like that. I didn't even read the article here. I was just going off on a tangent. Vision is a artificial being that is designed to resemble a human, depicted by Paul Bettany. Yeah, I think that's how you say his name. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's familiar to us from the films Avengers, Age of Ultron, Captain America, Civil War, and Avengers: Infinity War, for which the actor donned heavy prosthetic makeup in the comic in the heavy prosthetic makeup period. In the comics, he is described as every inch a human being except that all of his bodily organs and are constructed or synthetic materials. Yeah, I think he was like a human machine hybrid, because I think in I don't know, because I don't read all the current stuff, but when I was a kid, I think he was the original Human Torch, right? That was transformed. I think that's his original origin or something like. No, he was created by Ultron, right? Holy shit! I think I was thinking about who was it Wonder Man that was the Human Torch. Anyways, it might say here. This is in keeping with his depiction on the big screen. We can see he is sentient and capable of human error. However, we are constantly aware of his inorganic origins, not just because of his red skin color, but also his stiff body movements. But the filmmakers did add those watery blue eyes on the superhuman to encourage a strong emotional connection between him and the audience. Yeah, I thought the film version was really good. And now we're on Ant Man. So, what is the heading? Anti-hero Ant Man. I don't know if the original Ant Man was anti-hero, but this new character, the Paul Rudd one, is kind of a hybrid between the original Ant Man and the more current Ant Man, because he's not Hank Pym. Okay, so it's fair to say that Ant Man can be a little underappreciated as a superhero. I don't know. I always thought he was kind of cool. And after all, what's not to love about an adorable anti-hero? He's an anti-hero. I don't know. Article. I'm having a problem with this anti-hero stuff. Sure, he used to be small-time criminal since he can reduce himself to the size of an insect due to his accidental discovery of shrinking technology. Accidental? Didn't that guy? Oh yeah, because he stole it. Yeah, that's right. Paul Rudd plays the on-screen superhero Scott Lang, who wears a special suit and helmet that can adapt to his transformation and crime-fighting needs. He looks more protected in his modern depiction, with his outdated spandex getup, bringing to mind early Spider-Man days. Man, I'll tell you, whoever wrote this article really missed the ball on Ant-Man. I already gave you more information than this article. Um, I don't know, man. You got to go. Don't you have to go back to the original Hank Pym? If you're going to do a comparison, the original Hank Pym, and then the newest Ant-Man, which is Scott Lang, and there's no Hank Pym mention here at all. I call foul. Temptress of the Galaxy. Beginning in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, 2014, Zoe Saldana acts as Gamora, daughter to the supervillain Thanos. Despite her radioactive skin color, her beauty is indisputable. The same goes for the original character, who was something of a seductress. Well, look at that frickin' outfit from the comics, man. I'll tell you, if you wanted to fill seats, put that costume on Zoe. Yeah, you'd have to be a brave soul to wear something like that. That's a lot of skin there. Okay, so as we can see, she wasn't as strong of a green. What? As we can see, she wasn't as strong of a green as she is today in the films. And while some costume styles have been carried over, such as the very plunging neckline detail, she is altogether dressed less provocatively than her comic book counterpoint. Yeah, I guess yeah, she's more green. I don't know. I kind of like both these versions, so I'm kind of drawn between the two. I'm not really that familiar with Gamora, the comic book character. So was she kind of a fighter character? She doesn't look like much of a fighter character. They say she was more of a seductress, and the screen version, she is not a seductress in any stretch of the word. She is very antisocial and very aggressive. Okay, Loki the Snake. Okay, so once ranked the fourth greatest villain of all time, Loki is the Asgardian god of mischief and adopted brother of Thor. We know him today as the anti. Well, he is more of an anti-hero than Scott Lang. What the hell, man? What? No, what is that? Yeah, anti-hero in the Thor and Avengers film series. But it wasn't always so gray. The original Loki in the comics committed indisputably evil deeds to obtain power. I don't know. He did some pretty crappy stuff in the movies too. I wouldn't trust the guy. I don't even think Thor trusts him. Okay, his comic book depiction leaves no room for doubt. He wears a ram's horn headpiece and high collared cape, all key ingredients in classic villain depiction. Loki from the film is more noticeably scrawnier than the muscular comic version. However, with his greasy long hair, clammy complexion, and green costume accents, we think the studio opted more for serpent-like interpretation. Let's look at this. I don't even the image on the right hand side. I don't even think that's the like iconic Loki visual. That looks like he's got the Doctor Strange cape and cowl on, or hood, or what is that, collar, I guess. So yeah, I'm also yelling foul here, and also I'm sorry. I don't really want to tear people's art apart, but there's something very very wrong with that hand on his chin. It looks pretty busted up. Is busted up. Busted up. Yeah, so I thought the version of Loki in the movie worked for the most part. Um, this is the character they're gonna have to walk the fine line for me, because this character for me is really borderline. Um, I like Scarlet Witch. I always have. She's a very powerful character, and I just I like I said, I think Marvel's walking a real fine line with her. I think it's going to depend on they end up doing with her in the Disney Plus series. Um, but the movie so far, like I said, it's real iffy. Originally a supervillain, the Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda, Maximoff is a powerful sorceress who originally came on the scene with her brother Quicksilver. She is portrayed by actress Elizabeth Olsen, excuse me, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The red-haired lover and eventual wife of superhero and fellow Avenger Vision. Okay, I just want to say this. Okay, why doesn't she have the cape and why doesn't she have the headdress? Like, those are the iconic aspects to the character. I don't know why they didn't do that. I think that's kind of what pisses me off. And also, we got a lot of like red hair and brown haired characters. Make her have like jet black hair. I always thought she's kind of like cool, like gothy. You know, she's a witch, man. Okay, so the original Scarlet Witch was angrier character. Initially, she wore a typical female comic book costume of the time. Typical? Or iconic. A revealing strapless bathing suit in her signature scarlet color. But she was a raven haired beauty, unlike Olsen's character, who the filmmakers chose to make up in red from head to toe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care for it. I thought it was, like I said, it's right on the line. Frankenhulk. Oh man, I'll tell you, Marvel's got to figure out what they're doing with this character because it's going into Weirdsville. Mark Ruffalo is the face of the face we recognize as today's Bruce Banner. The emotionally withdrawn and sensitive physicist with a green, muscular, humanoid alter ego. The two personalities are usually at odds with each other, resenting one another due to their wildly contrasting characters. Yeah. He's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Since Hulk's first appearance in the Marvel Comics 1962 or Marvel Comics in 1962, the hero has gone through some changes. The color of him has varied. He has at times been various shades of gray, blue, green. You forgot red. Writer Stan Lee has stated that the Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were hugely influential in the creation of the character, and this can be seen in the earlier comics publications. The Hulk had familiar features to Frankenstein in many illustrations. Yeah, but I still don't think they've given us a good Hulk movie yet. I just want to see the Hulk just freaking destroy shit. I want to see him just. I want to see the rampaging Hulk. I want to see some crazy shit. We haven't seen that yet. I thought the Edward Norton film was pretty good. I thought Ed Norton was a really good Bruce Banner. I liked all of that. I'm not 100% sure why that didn't continue over. And there, just to go back, there were aspects of Mark Ruffalo's character that I liked, but yeah, I'd say overall it was very, very hit and miss for me in the cinematic universe. Okay, well this is obvious. Marissa Tomei plays Spider-Man's Aunt May in today's Marcel. Marcel cinematic universe. Yeah, whoever wrote this stuff, one didn't do a lot of homework and didn't spell check, and some of the stuff is written a little awkward. Appearing in those films: Captain America: Civil War, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Avengers: Endgame, and Spider-Man: Far From Home. So far, they haven't given her any superpowers, but you wait. They screwed up Pepper Potts' character. They'll screw this character up too. She's much younger than previous on-screen depictions and much less skittish and afraid than her comic book counterpoint. I'll tell you right now, I've said it on previous streams. I I love Spider-Man as a character. I hate Peter Parker. I hate everything about Peter Parker. And I hate Aunt May. I think like Peter, for being Spider-Man and having all these powers and abilities, why is Peter such a frickin' loser? Like I don't like that aspect. I don't mind him taking care of his Aunt May and stuff like that, but he seems like he's this functional guy when it comes to being Spider-Man, but he's completely dysfunctional as Peter Parker. And even as a kid, I didn't like that he was kind of a loser. So I read Marvel Team Up, which was Spider-Man teams up with different characters throughout the Marvel universe, and that's the book I read because it was just Spider-Man action stuff. It wasn't with all that backstory with Aunt May and even Mary Jane. I didn't like all that stuff. I didn't care for it. There's been some versions later that were better, but like the Todd McFarlane version, I thought was cool, where they made him less of a loser, and and he marries, or I think he married Mary Jane, and she's like this hot, like model slash actress. So I thought that was better. And then there was a version where he was a college teacher, and he was fairly functional and stuff like that. I like those ideas. I just didn't like how much of a loser he was, and also like to let what is his name, the Daily Bugle guy, get under his skin like that. Ah, man, I would have punched that guy out, man. Yelling at me all the time, Parker. It only works if like Peter Parker's really young, like that's his first job. But yeah, an older Peter Parker, that doesn't really work for me. So I'll finish this. Aunt May from the comics is much older than Tomei's version, always depicting as having full head of gray hair and a grandmother's quality. Yeah, the thing is, like, she's his aunt, not his grandmother. Like, I have some of my aunts are old, but they're like more like my mom's age. They're not like my grandmother's age. So I always thought Aunt May, like, is that his great great aunt? And even still, I have great aunts that weren't like grandmother age, or looking like that anyway. So she'd be definitely more like a grandmother or a great grandmother, nurturing and supporting Peter, but coddles him less than the more elderly and frail Aunt May from the comic books. Yeah. I thought it was a good improvement because I never liked that part in the comic books. And for some reason, this kind of makes a little bit more sense. But my problem with the cinematic Spider-Man is they kind of introduced him more as a Marvel Universe character than like Marvel Universe. When I say universe, I mean like universe versus like his own universe, like his own intimate Spider-Man universe. So I think they quickly glossed over just Spider-Man as a character and his world. So, not that I need another origin story, but just more of like just Peter Parker, Spider-Man centric stories versus, Iron Man in it, and what was the newest version had, Nick Fury, and like there's just too much of the Avengers Marvel Universe stuff in there versus just a good, focused Spider-Man story, which I'm still hoping for. I'm not sure we're going to get it because was it Homecoming was the last one where they go on vacation and with Mysterio and stuff. Man, that is kind of a strange movie. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it, but that movie was weirdly all over the place, I think, as far as subject matters and things like that. I would have much rather have just just a stripped down Peter Parker story, in New York City, kind of dealing with stuff, because I think that's where he works best. So we're finally to Thor. My gosh, why wasn't this up, higher, in the list? I guess it's not a top 10, so I shouldn't complain. Actor Chris Hemsworth. I'll tell you right now, you guys, in a million years, I never thought that Marvel film would ever be able to cast Thor. Never did I ever think that this could happen. And somehow Chris Hemsworth was found. And I'll tell you right now, they better not turn this character into a joke, because the gold mine that they found with Chris Hemsworth to play Thor is one in a billion. That dude is Thor. I never thought you could find an actor of his stature and the size, not just like the bulk, but just the size. The guy's a monster. And man, the dedication to build his body the way he has, shit, man, you're not gonna find a closer comic book physique and actor ever. This guy, he's one in a billion. So they did it somehow, and they should. I heard somehow, like, what was the woman that plays Captain Marvel was paid more than Chris Hemsworth and stuff. I'll tell you, she's a dime a dozen. Chris Hemsworth is a fine. There's not a lot of people that could do what, like, look what the way he does and act the way he does. He's a brilliant actor. I would love to, if he wasn't so overused in Hollywood right now, he'd be the perfect Black for Black and White if there was a movie adaptation of the comic book, because he's got the British accent. He can play a range of characters, and I think he would be perfect. And he has a sense of humor, because one of the things in Black and White is it's a fun action adventure, so it's not a serious drama. And he can do that, man. He can play that humor, and he can turn on a dime. I'm sorry, Marvel. Or, you know what? If I was Chris Hemsworth, I'd get the biggest head, and I'd just go to Marvel and say, listen, man, you're going to triple my salary. And right now, I think he's the only thing potentially that's going to anchor the Marvel universe. It's not going to be that Captain Marvel character. And I don't know the actor that played Black Panther, but that guy has the potential too. He could be a leader, and he's very charismatic, and he's got some acting chops. The only thing is that solo Black Panther movie, I'm sorry, man, that was written pretty bad. And my main complaint with the Black Panther movie is that they just couldn't figure out who the Black Panther was. They made him so powerful and that suit so invincible that the climax of the story, they had to actually take his powers away so he could fight that other guy. Like, I don't know. I thought it was weird. Like, he has powers, he doesn't have powers. He has powers, he has, crazy powers. Yeah, I hope Black Panther isn't in this this rundown, because I've already done my Black Panther conversation or take on it. Okay, so I don't know where do we go from here. I'm kind of getting. I want to move on. Yeah, I thought he's the perfect Thor. Enough said. Unlike gets into Jane Foster double. Okay, yeah, the original was kind of like Captain Marvel, or Shazam, I should say, where he would tap his cane and he was like this surgeon that could change his persona, so he could go from a frail doctor to this god, Thor. So I'm really glad that they ditched that, to be honest. I think it works better this way, and it's a change for the better, and it makes him a little bit more original and less Shazam-ish. Yeah. Okay. Scarlett Johansson has been portraying Black Widow for almost a decade in the Marvel films, appearing in the Avengers, Captain America series, as well as Iron Man 2 and Captain Marvel. Wait, she was in Captain Marvel? I never saw the movie. I didn't know she was in... That's right? Appearing in the Avengers and Captain America, as well as Iron Man 2 and Captain Marvel. I didn't know she was in that movie. Very interesting. Her real name is whatever. She introduced Steely Russian spy, antagonist, whatever, Avengers team. Okay. I thought they did an okay job with her. Comic book Black Widow, different origin story, a film character. She was injected with a super soldier. What? Which maxed out her strength and healing potential. Her abilities exceeded all other athletes, and she is classified as a peak human. But the cinematic Black Widow doesn't appear to have those advantages. I don't remember her being injected with a super soldier serum. At least the original Black Widow. What? That's a really old image of Black Widow too. Um, I just thought she was Marvel's version of. Remember that Avengers character, that Emma Peel? Like the world was in love with chick spies. All right, Peter Parker. All right, well, Peter Parker, Spider Man. Um, Cloak of Immortality. Okay, so this is a character I don't know a lot about, but I thought visually they kind of nailed it, and I thought this actress was really pretty good. I thought some of the writing was weird, but okay, based on the Norse goddess Hela, um, comic books Hela is the child of the the child of Loki and frequently comes up against Thor. She is the Asgardian goddess of death and has a pact to claim the souls of Asgardians or worshippers of Asgardians. I kind of like that better already. With the aid of her cloak, she possesses enhanced strength. Without it, she becomes weak and almost powerless, appearing dead and even decayed. Listen, man, that's way cooler than I think the movie version. Also, I do dig this Art Adams drawing on the right. I believe that's Art Adams. As we can see, 2017 Thor Ragnarok, she doesn't have the same dependency on her cloak to retain her looks or strength, but filmmakers did try to retain her icy exterior and stay quite true to the comics with her appearance. Kate Blanchett dons a caged high neck bodysuit and horn like headpiece similar to that of the original character. Yeah, I thought visually they did a pretty good job with this character. And sometimes you can't do like the bright greens and stuff like that. So I think Hollywood does a good job with like muting the colors so they don't seem too corny. Although having said that, I did dig the saturated colors on Aquaman, as I pointed out. Oh gosh, that is a weird ass drawing. That back of that head on Tony Stark goes on forever, and that's not just the mullet talking. All right, who else could we imagine as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, other than Robert Downey Jr.? The wealthy business magnate, a womanizer, and genius is one of the most popular characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bringing in the biggest bucks, Downey Jr. truly made the role his own. He sure as hell did, man. He deserves every frickin' dime he made. That's why we're sure you'll be surprised to hear that Tony Stark used to sport a permed mullet. Listen, he didn't always have a permed mullet. Come on. Like, the original did not have that. You guys are making stuff up again. I mean, that's part of it, but that was just a fashion. We're happy to report it wasn't reserved only for the 70s, as even though through the adaptation of the 80s fashion, he distinctly had a distinctive hairstyle lingered. Yeah, but I think the mullet was more 80s anyways. I think it was less 70s and more 80s. The Black Panther film was a milestone. Come on, let's not overplay it. It was a decent movie. In Marvel's cinematic history, it brought the concept of Afrofuturism into the mainstream, where Afrocentric cultures are integrated with innovations or sci-fi art, music, and literature. King T'Challa is represented as a highly intelligent and forward thinking while retaining his cultural identity and traditional values. Sure enough, look at the old comic book colors, man. He looks like a sickly brown. It's like a brown gray. Wait, oh, they finally get into that Chadwick Boseman's name. It should be up in the top paragraph. T'Challa from the comic books is equally as proud, but far younger. Chadwick Boseman was 39 years old when he was cast. That dude's 39 years old? Holy shit. That guy keeps himself up well. When he was cast as Wakanda King in Civil War, as opposed to the young T'Challa from the comic books, who was a teenager when he ascended the throne. Actually, that kind of works better, to be honest. And could have been more original, and could have been more of a confidant or closer with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker in age. So he could have seemed more original in a way. Maybe those Lion King comparisons would have been more noticeable if he was younger. And he'd break out in song, I just can't wait to be king. Da, 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 da. T'Challa from the comic books was younger. Yeah, I still think you should have done it. Even though we wouldn't have got Chadwick Boseman, who's frickin' genius. He should become the leader of the Avengers. I think he's got all the earmarks. I thought there should have been a scene where Captain Marvel or Captain America passed the baton to this guy. So I think the only way the Avengers is going to move forward is Black Panther, quite frankly. He's the only one worthy to lead a team. He's the only one that you would actually follow and not question orders. Because he has shown that he has integrity out the yin-yang. The Elder, the Marvel Universe. This is a new drawing of the Elder, by the way. Or an Elder of the Marvel Universe. An ageless Grand Master revealed itself to be eccentric actor Jeff Goldblum, Ragnarok, Guardians. He is a long-standing antagonist who takes heroes and villains from across the universe to fulfill his contest of champions. But just to back up again, they took this right, because this drawing on the right-hand side, it already looks, it's contemporary, so that's not the original Grandmaster. That looks like it was probably redesigned after the movie. In the film, they dropped his signature blue skin. I don't know why they didn't have blue skin. Running down his chin, matching eyeliner. Director Taika Waititi admitted that they changed this feature so that the makeup would not detract from Goldman's acting or personality. He has also played a blue-toned character previously in Earth Girls Are Easy. So what, man? You don't think that guy can transcend the makeup? What the hell's wrong with you? That would be an insult if you were Jeff Goldblum. Because, what's his name actually transcended, what do they call that, where they do the motion cap stuff for his character for Thanos. Man, that guy transcended that, and that wasn't even makeup. That was technology. And also Gamora, like her face was green. She still did a pretty killer job. Oh, and then there's this guy, Joaquin Phoenix, who had his face totally painted. So I'm sorry, Wakiti, or what is his name? Taika Waititi. I don't agree with your transcending the makeup. Okay, so Joaquin Phoenix has been making headlines lately from his recent performance as the emotionally broken Joker in the latest DC Comics film. His performance has been receiving acclaim, critical acclaim, as the actor and filmmakers chose to shift focus on the tragedy behind such a complicated character. That character is always pretty tragic, man. The Joker from the comic books has an equally complicated past, but a more fearsome persona than Phoenix version. In the film, we are encouraged to feel the trauma experience on behalf of the failed comedian, whereas the comics try to instill a more chaotic, unpredictable feeling to the villain. Well, to back up, I think the Joaquin Phoenix, that was kind of an origin story. So we'll see where um, they go after this. So Walter Kovacs, aka Rorschach from the Alan Moore's graphic novel Watchmen, was played by actor Jackie Earl Haley. That dude was pretty badass in that movie, man. Who would have thought? Isn't that like that punk kid from what was that baseball movie? Um, yeah, and he's kind of small, but man, that guy has an attitude. Director Zack Snyder tried his best to stay true to the comic as possible, and upon seeing Kovacs' audition tape, said, "Awesomely acted. Clearly, there was no other Rorschach for comic book fans. It's easy to see just how faithful both the actor and the director were to Moore's story. Rorschach is emotionally shut off, so it's pretty much a complete, perfect adaptation as far as I'm concerned. Michael Chiklis played part of the Thing, one of the founding members of the Fantastic Four. His trademark rock-like appearance came about from high exposure he had to a cosmic cloud. I thought it was like okay, a cosmic cloud, which changed his genetic makeup as he was the most exposed out of the Fantastic Four. He endured the most severe physical mutations. I'd say he probably endured the most grotesque, but I don't know, being able to stretch or become invisible or ignite yourself on fire is pretty extreme. Chickless version of the character is than more human-like than the comic book version, who often takes on more monstrous appearances. Oh, so you're just talking about the costume. In part, he helped the audience better connect with the character. That's bullshit, man. Read some of that early Fantastic Four stuff, man. Ben Grimm had the biggest heart, and I think he's got the biggest heart of all the Marvel Universe characters. So I yell foul here. So I'm going to move on. I yell foul. The only thing is, it's kind of not good makeup. It's kind of lame looking. They really should have given him the brow. The brow is pretty cool. Okay, how much more do we have? Oh, this is the last one. Good. I don't mean good. I mean yeah, the last one. Woohoo! Last but not least, Shakespearean actor Sir Ian McKellen truly made Magneto his own for the X-Men movies, so much so that it's hard to imagine the character any other way. He plays an intelligent mutant with the ability to manipulate magnetic fields and strongly opposes Professor Xavier's pacifist attitude. Oh no, it still does go on. And there's one more. Okay. The comic book character has the same origin story portrayed in the film, but himself, he's quite a different appearance. He's younger than, physically stronger for the films. I thought they wanted in the films to make it a generational thing, so they hired older actors, kind of like Magneto, the older actor for Magneto and Professor Xavier, and I think that was good. So then visually, the X-Men themselves would look like a different generation. And in the comic books, they almost look the same. They look like they could be the same age. So I thought the film actually got it right. I'm not a big fan of the X-Men movies, but they at least got that right. And also both those guys are really, really good actors. As the founder of the Avengers, former director Shield and Spy, the role of Nick Fury had to go to an esteemed actor. The filmmakers opted Samuel L. Jackson, who portrays the character as somewhat of an anti-hero. Okay. Oh no, man, this keeps going. Oh no. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't think this was this long. Yeah, this keeps going. Yeah, this is way too much. So I'm just going to peruse so you guys can get an idea of how this article... Wow, this article is crazy. I guess I should have looked it over first. Yeah, that's... we'll see how that works out. What I've heard is that Marvel or Sony is trying to... what is it? Is it Marvel or Disney is trying to rebrand some of these characters? So then, like copyrights and stuff like that will be more. I don't know why. Who said this? This doesn't even make sense now. I'm thinking it out loud or saying it out loud. That they wanted to stray from the characters so they could copyright their versions of the characters. But Disney already owns these characters. So maybe it was Sony. Maybe that Sony wanted to kind of do this so that they could... Yeah, maybe that's what it was. That Sony wanted to rebrand these characters so that they could claim like ownership to them. So that's why a lot of the big changes are happening in the Spider-Man universe, so that Sony can kind of claim ownership. And then if Marvel and Disney wants to use these versions, they would have to go through Sony. Is it Sony? Sony Columbia? Yeah. Is it? Wait. Yeah. Yeah, it's Sony Columbia. I was getting that mixed up with another. What is the one that Disney just bought? Was that Fox? Yeah. So Punisher, well, that comic book version, he just looks like the Highlander. That looks like a shot from the Highlander movie, the first one. Wow, this thing is still going. Holy poop on toast. Flash even? Holy crap. I'm sorry, you guys. I did not think that this went on this long. Wow. Well, I'll put the link in the description, and you guys can peruse this and let me know what you think in the chat and see what these comparisons. So far, I think it's a 50-50 for me. I think some of it looked pretty good, some of it not so good. So let me see if I can go back and not screw this up. Okay, so we should be seeing my face now. Let's see, live streaming. Wow, that was epic, you guys. Yeah, I mean, that thing went into some crazy detail. Fake news. Yeah, I don't know if it's even news. It's just, if you're, let me go back in the chat before I start, because sometimes I start reading them out of context. And forget that you guys might be talking amongst yourself. Okay, so don't believe them. Correct, sir. That cape is fake news. Scarlet Witch was my comic book crush growing up. Yeah, she was freaking hot, man. And also, she was just kind of cool. Sounds like reality warping powers in Disney Plus. Central Scrutinizer, Mark Ruffalo is the worst part of those movies. I'm trying to think. I think Captain Marvel is the worst part. She was so bad that I didn't even go see the movie. Like, I didn't even want to see the movie. So at least that Mark Ruffalo version is okay. Like, I can watch it. But they're definitely taking some missteps with the character. And just like with Spider-Man, I still haven't really got a good sense of the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Spider-Man as well. As a personal character, as a Spider-Man story, we still need that Spider-Man story, and we still need that Hulk story. as far as I'm concerned, missed the opportunity when they passed on the True Hulk, Planet Hulk movie. Yeah, yeah, they just kind of shoehorned it into a Ragnarok. Although that fight was pretty damn epic, I enjoyed the hell out of those two guys going at it. I thought it was pretty awesome. They should have at least went with super arrogant, handsome Hulk from the '90s. Maybe. Ed Norton was pretty good, but he's apparently a royal pain in the arse to work with. Likes to try and call the shots on the set and whatnot. Yeah, I heard something similar. Central Scrutinizer. So, yeah, and Marvel probably at this point really doesn't want a loose cannon. You know, they want somebody that will kind of toe the corporate line. J. Jonah Jameson, kick art. What? Peter, kick art. J. Jonah Jameson. I don't know. I don't dislike J. Jonah Jameson. I think he fits. He's a cool character. He's an interest. I wouldn't say he's a cool character, but he's a good character to give Peter some woes and trouble. And like I said, it works the dynamic between J. Jonah and Peter as like a young guy, kind of being exploited by the paper, but as an older guy, I don't really like the dynamic. And I could only take Peter getting bullied by J. Jonah for so long. Peter Parker brings out Art's dark side. I don't know, man. I think he's a loser. He was a loser. There are some versions of Peter where he's kind of cool, but the early stuff as a kid, I couldn't really get into it. Glad I'm not the only one that can't stand Peter Parker. Thank you. Is that Zerst? I hope I said that right. Yeah, and I think PP is Peter Parker. PP. He's got to go potty. Central Scrutinizer, does Uncle Ben even exist? Yeah, you know what? I don't even know if they've mentioned him by name. Have they? Yeah, that's really weird. It's almost like they just glossed over Uncle Ben as a character and then made Tony Stark his mentor, which I don't know, it's not bad, but they still have to give me a cool Spider-Man story. A dime a dozen, you insane. Blonde white chicks with no arse are very rare. I think you're talking about what is her name? Blair? What is that woman's name? The actor that plays Captain Marvel. I think that's who you're talking about. What is her name? I don't even remember her name. That's probably a good thing. Ugh, rare. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. I like Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, but yeah, that movie sucks. I don't know about sucking. It's just not all that. And I think where I doubled down is I doubled down because everybody was saying how important it is. I don't think it was that important. I think well, I'm just going to go off on one little tangent right now about that movie. The thing is, everybody's like Wakanda Forever. Those guys were horrible. Those guys, like Wakanda, the people, the leadership, all that, they were all horrible. Like that was not anything to um, like look up to or think that they were a great civilization because they had all those modern advancements and things, but they didn't share them with the world, which makes the Wakandans look very, very, very bad. Um, they could have ended slavery. This is the movie's story. I'm not making this up. They could have ended slavery. They could have stopped all of that stuff from happening before it even happened. But they didn't. They stood back and just kind of had their dome and stayed to themselves. And also, they have like, what was that guy? That guy had a broken back or a bullet in his spine, and they repaired that guy. They repaired his spinal column. Holy shit! The technology, really? And you're just going to hoard it to yourself? I know that then Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther comes in and changes all that. That's great, but that's not what the Wakanda was up to that point. So it almost like the people of Wakanda and the leadership of Wakanda were almost like bad guys. When the villain, what's his name? I forget the character's name. That was a blood relative that fought for the throne. It was almost like that guy seemed to more have the heroic backstory. He was a psychopath and he went about it the wrong way, but he seemed to understand those details better. And I don't know how Chadwick Boseman's character didn't know that they weren't sharing stuff with the rest of the world and things. Like he couldn't figure that out on his own. Like he didn't realize that there's history of slavery in the world, and that you know his family lineage didn't do anything to stop it. I don't know, man. It's a weird movie. It's a weird movie, and I think people took what they wanted from the movie and didn't really watch or get what was actually happening in the movie. But that's just my take. What do I know? I'm just a comic book artist on YouTube. Ooh, that's going to be my new thing. What do I know? I'm just a comic guy on YouTube. Okay, is this hella a cape either? Okay. Might people... I wanted to read Vilnid's... but does that attach to another thought here? Hold on. Maybe not. So, they didn't give Hela a cape either. Oh my gosh. Was I just... For some reason, I was thinking when she first appeared, she had a cape on. But I think you're right. She didn't have a cape. But they did give her the headdress, which was kind of cool. Who gives a crap if he's a fanboy of Tony? Oh, is that Spider-Man? Blame Sony for retconning Uncle Ben's killer from Spider-Man 3. Sony ruined Spider-Man 3. Yeah, I think that even what's his name? Andrew... what is his name? The two Spider-Man movies that they made, that Sony did after the oh my gosh, what is the actor's name? Tobey Maguire ones. I thought there was some good ideas there, but from what I hear, that Sony actually kind of got into the mix on those movies as well, because I think I've heard breakdowns of what the director wanted to do and then what they eventually did do. The changes all came from on high with Sony. I do believe that even killing Mary Jane was... Not Mary Jane, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, what is her name? That was... I know she dies in the comic book, but that was Sony's idea to do it in the second movie, which was a mistake. Those two actors had some amazing chemistry, and it was a shame. It was, yeah, Andrew Garfield. Yeah, yeah, they had some chemistry, and they should have played that up instead of killing her off. And also, I thought that they... Not that I'm like, ooh, the romantic lovers triangle thing, but I do think they should have brought those aspects in. They should have brought Mary Jane in and had the whole, the three of them. The lovers triangle, as they say. Keep the shield. It was Doe should have kept the shield. Lightsaber 328. Ruined the character. Cap quitting. Ruined the character. Disrespecting his country. It was, I think he wants to say dumb, or it was, I don't know what, Doge. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what is going on there. Now you know why I hate, what is IW? I don't know what IW is. Complicated character. He's a thug with face paint. Was bad. Ultron was out of character. Yeah, I was Lightsaber 328. I will completely agree with you on Ultron, because also Ultron was built by Hank Pym, right? I thought that's a pretty cool story arc where Hank Pym creates this, basically a villain. He doesn't mean to, but it just happens that way. Bad News Bears, that's the guy. Thanks, Shinto Ketchup. That the actor that Jackie whatever from Watchmen that played Rorschach. The government wanted to control people. He stood up against tyranny, overreach. He is nothing more There's nothing more than American than that. Are you guys talking about Captain America? The government should be shut down or wiped out. Bunch of angry old men's running it. It just kind of children. I don't know. I'm not following a lot of that. So fake news. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think of this as news. I just think of the article was just kind of meant to be fun. Country. The X-Men movies are complete garbage. You know what? I agree, Jude. I didn't want to be that blunt about it, but they're pretty bad. John Byrne's Fantastic Four. Yeah, Daxamite. Man, that was a great run. I think that's probably one of my, other than the initial Lee Kirby stuff, I think John Byrne's run on the Fantastic Four was my favorite. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the inker. Wow, I'm falling apart here. He worked on Superman, for goodness sake. He inked John Byrne on that. It'll come to me at some point, probably after I end this stream. My mom hated the Spider-Verse. I thought the Spider-Verse, the cartoon, was pretty darn cool. I did not expect much going into it, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I kind of like the Dive Ninja, the Hail High RT. I'm High RT. Jude, you're my favorite guy in the chat today because you sided with me. That's how easy it is to be my friend. Is just agree with me and I'll like, yeah, let's hang out. Okay. Awful Redneck Gaming. Hello. Central Scrutinizer. I haven't seen Captain Marvel. I checked out after Infinity War. Only reason I watched Endgame is because I was paid to review it. Wow, you were paid to review it. That's pretty cool. What a chore. Yeah. I didn't see Captain Marvel. I didn't even see it on TV. I didn't go see Homecoming because it just looked like it was going to be okay. And I already didn't like the trailer, the story was going. It looked fun, but it wasn't the intimate Spider-Man story I wanted. It was dealing with the backlash of Endgame, and I was like, whatever. do we want to do this with Spider-Man? You know, do that with another character, or don't do it at all, um, or make it less of the story. And then what was Mysterio like? And his villain goals were all weird. Like he wanted to be Tony Stark. He wanted to be beloved. Like what is this? What was that character for the Incredibles? I'm. What was his name? He had the S on his chest. Man, at least when my brain goes, it goes completely as far as memory. Pre 52. I'm going to try to catch up in this and then go to my Chrono campaign. Just let you know that we're going in demand. And to once again, thank you guys. We have Rob elements. Okay, let's go back in time. See where he's at. Spider-Man would work way better as a series than as a film, as in TV show. Um, yeah, I think that they could get into more detail with it. I think if they could make these Marvel Universe stories as a weekly TV series, they would all benefit from that because then it would definitely be more like a comic book. You know, you could get your stories quicker than two or three of them a year. Oh, Sierra Whiskey says, like, subscribe, share this out. Let's get the people in here. Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you, Sierra. I appreciate it. Rob says, bring back that 60s to 80s era soap opera elements. Yeah, I think those things work. The Flash Thompson bullying and struggling to make ends meet as a freelance photographer, the late homework assignments, the love triangles. Yeah, I think that stuff works, and that's what I want to see because how many people can relate to a bunch of science geeks going to Rome? You know what I mean? Like I think more people could relate to day-to-day school chores and trying to, have a social life, get your homework done, and you deal with your home issues, while trying to move on from the death of your Uncle Ben. I don't know. I think those stories, I just, not that they all have to be that, but I want to see that story more. And I know the first Spider-Man had a little bit of that in there, but not as much as I would have liked. It seemed to be very Iron Man centric. Syndrome, yes, thank you, Central Scrutinizer, or some such. Yeah, I think it was Syndrome. Okay, so Rob brings up you'd need 20 movies to let all of that breathe properly. Yeah, I'm all for it, man, because I like serialized stuff. That's why I like comic books, cliffhanger endings, all that. X2 is the best superhero flick of all time. The second X-Men movie? No. Um, the best superhero movie? I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to relive X2 in my head and see why you're thinking is so great. Um, I don't know. I thought they were okay. I don't think they were great though. I still have yet to see a really great X-Men movie. They just changed it up too much, and I think some of the casting um, on the characters was not good. I still think this is the purest, the more I would like to see an X-Men movie done with the core five characters, and I'd like to see those guys very young, like the actor that was his name that plays Peter Parker, like that age, and get them in young, and then we could have them age as the stories progress in almost real time like they did Harry Potter. I think that would be fun. And then you can see more X-Men come into the group, but you get to see the school build, and you get to see those core five. What was it? Um, Cyclops, Marvel Girl, the Beast, Iceman, and Angel. Like those five characters. and have them deal with everything, and then start bringing in the other characters. For some reason, the way the X-Men movie, the first X-Men movie, did it, it was a mishmash of the old and new X-Men characters, and for some reason, it didn't quite gel as well for me. And I understand why Hollywood did that, because there are popular characters, X-Men characters, old and new, and most of the big popularity of the X-Men was later. It wasn't the early X-Men stuff. So it was the new X-Men stuff, and then the later '90s X-Men that was more popular. So I understand why they did that from a commercial standpoint, but from a creative standpoint, I still want to see that, just those guys being recruited, the kids coming to Xavier, how that all works, and then starting to, become more the hero's journey, giving back to society, and then being ostracized by society. I also think it'd be more tragic as kids, to get to like these life lessons, because they're kind of innocent. They're going in, and then they get to see that the world doesn't really like them, or at least a portion of the world doesn't really care for them. And then what would be good for an ending is, of course, that they do some greater good, and then people actually come around to liking them, or for the most part, enough significant or a significant amount of people come around to liking them. So that would be very cool, I think, for a story, just as far as a beginning, middle, and end. I see here a note for a super chat. I did not see a super chat. I'll go back after. We got Arthur Brown, the Uncanny Kodiak, in the house. Homecoming was fun and I liked it. So was Far From Home. People have too many hyper focused goggles on to enjoy anything just fun. Yeah, I'm not saying I did not enjoy it. I think it was a good 2 hours, but I'm just talking more from a fan, what I'd like to see. And I'm not saying that those were bad movies. I'm just saying I still want to see that one more Spider-Man type movie, more intimate. So what is this? A big fan of Dan Jurgens' Superman run. Thank you, Daxamite. Was that Warzard? You got any good Valentino stories? I do have some good Valentino stories, but I'm going to go back and see if I can find the super chat, if indeed, because I just see a note, because I'm not really sure how to read these things, because I'm in like a different menu, so all the graphics and everything are different, so the super chats don't stand out. So it's only going to let me go back so far. So I apologize if I did not see the super chat. I really do appreciate it for $5. So thank you to whoever sent that. I really do appreciate it. It does help. Every little bit helps. So thank you. And if you're in the chat still, let me know if it was you, and I'll thank you personally. So Sierra Whiskey says, congrats, Arts, folks. Chrono Mechanics is now in demand. Let's help get this to 30K and unlock those 6 extra pages. Yes, that would be cool. Arthur Brown says, I'm late for a very important date. Spider-Man would work way better as a series. Read that. Okay, so I think we're caught up. So Rob asks for a... Wait, is it Rob or is it Warzard? Got any Valentino stories? So that was, I think it's Warzard. And then Rob says, I have a kick-ass Rudolph Valentino yarn. Not the same guy, man. Not the same guy. Let me see. I don't want to do any of the really sensational stuff. I'm trying to think of okay when I used to go hang out with Jim, he had a studio, and I think it was well, maybe I shouldn't out him. It was close by my house, so we'd go there and we would work and we would draw and ink, and I believe we worked on Myth Adventures. And so occasionally we'd go up to the rooftop and we would look out on the beautiful city. It was usually at night, and we would smoke a J, a doob, and then we'd go back down to work. So without getting into too much, because any other Jim Valentino story is going to take too long to tell. So that's kind of my Jim Valentino story. At the time, that was our recreation, our drug of choice, our vice, if you will. Okay, so I hope that was good. Let me see. So I'm in YouTube stream. So I need to go to OBS. And so if I hit screen share, don't. Okay, so you should be seeing the Chrono Mechanics site. So Chrono Mechanics, they do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. So we are officially in demand. So I know I said at 25K I probably wouldn't do this, but you guys have, a lot of you have said, please do not close it because we don't get paid. We haven't, we didn't get paid this week. We're going to get paid next week. So a lot of you were saying you wanted the book still, excuse me, but you just didn't have the funds this week. And so, to be honest, that was the big selling point here. Also to try to get to 30K, because at 30K, then we can make this a 60-page book. And at 60 page, this book is going to rock. It already is killer, but this book will sing, because we'll be able to get a little bit more backstory, explain more about the world, and the big thing is to give you more action. There's some killer action scenes that I have scripted out that if we can get those 6 pages, we'll be able to do. So I'm kind of dragging my heels creatively on doing those last 12 pages. Like I said, I have them blocked out, but I don't have them fully realized. I don't have layouts for them, and Render, Contender, and myself are not working on those pages. So we're still trying. Actually, I think Render and I only have, I just sent him a layout last week. So I think I owe him one more layout, and then that will be the 48 pages. So once he pencils that up and I ink that, that will be pretty much the 48 pages. So I think there's still a couple more pages I need to finish up and to ink. So I think there's really just 2 big pages that that we need to pencil up and then do finishes on. And then we'll have that 48 pages wrapped up. And then Narwhal, I think he just sent me a big chunk of pages the other day. But if you're listening, Narwhal, I have not had a chance to look them over because I've been very, very busy trying to get you guys interested in this killer book of mine, this new killer book of mine, Chrono Mechanics. So you guys, this last week has been overwhelming. Out of nowhere, you guys struck and just rallied around this little book that could. And God, last night oh my gosh, it's been overwhelming. Your generosity and just all your support, your shout outs, and getting the word out about this book. I do realize that this book is way outside of most people's wheelhouse, and unique and completely different. Ideas like this are harder to sell, but I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. 27K is quite amazing, and I do believe in my heart of hearts this is just the beginning, because the more I talk about it and the more you guys share, I think we can educate people on how cool this project is, because it's not like this template. It's not like, oh well, this is like a super soldier story, or this is a spy story, or this is a monster story, or this is a vampire or zombie tale. Like those all kind of, you understand them, but this is quite unique and different. And I also believe that's why when you read this book, you guys are going to be floored, because it's going to be completely different than anything that you've ever read. It should feel completely unique to you guys, um, and fun. So the tone is completely unique unto the concept itself. So at this point, I should change this, because it's not 48 pages anymore, you guys. We added 6 more pages. So what's that? 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. 54 pages. So that's what you guys have earned. And, when you guys come back this book, when you shout out, when you do all that stuff, we're able to create a bigger and better ass book. So, and then also with the other stretch goals, it's like a thank you for all the support as well. So, like I said, man, thank you. Completely overwhelmed with everything. So come by, check it out, and see all the fun and cool stuff we have to offer. And I do have some other ideas that I'm going to be bringing into the in demand. But like I said, I hadn't put too much thought into it, because I didn't even think we were going to get to this point, to be honest. That's why I'm completely overwhelmed. You guys have rallied, and thanks to EVS Ethan. I know he gets a lot of people just speaking ill of him and bad, but I'll tell you, 35 years in this industry, I have not met a more generous individual in those 35 years. And he spent all last night promoting this book and helping get the word out. And I know he was tired. That guy was dog tired, but he stayed in the game, and he helped get the word out. And I really, really do appreciate it, my friend. So, yeah, whenever we judge people, we have to see that they're multifaceted. There's things in our personalities that other people might not care for, but I think you have to look at the person as a whole, and then judge them, not just on a single action. We are way more than just a single action. Life is way more complex than that, and we as humans are way more complex than that. So these are all the variant covers, which are killer. And I would like to try to get more of these in your hands, because I'm very proud of the way they came out. And I'm very flattered that these were all donated by these different artists. So I should give them a shout out. You know what? I'll do that in the stretch goals. So we have a Killer Superstar cover collection, which is based on all the 4 variant Chrono Mechanics covers. And so we have Oot by the great, Cheeks Galloway. Just amazing version of Oot here. He's just kind of flying in the time stream. He's surfing the stream on a cog. Killer, my friend. Great imagination. And God, I met Sean years and years and years ago. I think we were just starting to talk about doing Chrono Mechanics, and he really fell in love with the concept, and we bonded right then and there. And I think it's before he really started working professionally on anything. Just a great guy, a great human being, and a brilliant artist. And then Tom Bancroft, amazing Disney animator, most known for, I should say, is Mushu from Mulan. So he was the key animator and designer of that character. And my daughter met him at a convention, and he drew up a Mushu for her. He just drew it up. I don't think the Disney animators are supposed to do that, but he did, and I thank you for it, my friend. It used to hang in her room, but she's now an adult, so it's in my private collection. Ha ha! Take that, sucker. So yeah, he did a great version of Doug, and he really captured the character. You know, the rock star. He's even got the cigarette in his mouth, and all the girls are digging him. And he's kind of, uh, let me go back just so you can see the detail. He's phasing in. So he's kind of transporting back into his timeline. Either that or he's phasing out of the timeline. I think he's phasing out. So that's why the girls on the left hand side are like, yay. And then they start kind of getting, wait a minute, what's going on the right hand side? So just smart, great storyteller. He's got the lucky pick in his hand. And Tom really liked the concept of Chrono Mechanics. So he was an early supporter as well. So he gave me that cover. And so then Aaron Lopresti, the great comic book artist, who I think is doing the Justice League now and has a campaign of his own, which is Garbage Man. I think it's still active. It's still live. So go check that out when we're done here. So he did the character Zin, which came out amazing. It's so cool when people capture the character just based on, you know, the little bit of art that I was able to send them. And then a great version of Caravaggio done by Carlo Barberi, and I did the inks, and the coloring came out great. The coloring was done by Perea. He's the same guy that did the color for Black and White. So then we have this trading card, which was the 16K. So you guys unlocked that. You unlocked the button. You unlocked the lucky pick, which is killer. And so then at 25K, which was amazing, like I said, I was totally shocked when I think we even broke 25K before we went on before I went on Ethan's show, or we were close to it. So that was pretty amazing. And so we got that unlocked, the lucky pick. And so the six pages are unlocked right now. So you will get 6 additional pages. What did I say? It was 54 pages. So you'll have a 54 page adventure now, not 48 pages. I got to change that. And when we get to 30K, which I'm pretty confident we will be able to do, you'll get that other 6 pages. So it'll be a total of 60 pages, which would make my heart sing if we could get those extra 12 pages into your hands and bring those into the book. So once again, thanks to all the backers, thanks to everybody that shouted out, and just know, if you could, let everybody know that the book is in demand now, so that anybody who missed the live campaign can still back the book. Because also, I do realize Christmas time is coming, so I even more am grateful for the support, because I do realize that there's family and loved ones that we're all shopping for as well. So that money is a little tight this time of year. So somebody asked me how long I'm going to keep it open for. It'll at least be 3 months, maybe 4 months into the new year, because January also is kind of a dry month because everybody's recovering from December, from Christmas. So, February, I'm hoping to get some people back in to the Chrono campaign and grab a copy for themselves. So let me see. I'm going to hit refresh, see if we went up. So that's 180. What was it? 180. Oh, we did. So it's 244 at this point. So thank you very much, you guys. I don't know what we sold. We have... wait a minute. I just got an update. Let me refresh this one more time and make sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let me figure out. I did this wrong last time. I think I have to go back to OBS and hit headshot again. And you know what? Let me see. Yeah, you guys got to kind of bear with me here. So here we are. Okay, so now I can read. I can read the chat again. Okay, cool. I'm back, and love the logo. Did you put it together yourself, or did you get a designer to do that? The Chrono Mechanics logo. That's an interesting story. So I had a logo for quantum mechanics, and it already had like the elements in it, but they weren't quite as cool. And then when I had to change the name to Chrono Mechanics, I redid the logo, and also I got the image deal at that point, because before that I was just fooling around with the idea. And so now I had a publishing window, and so I needed to come up with an actual cover logo. So Richard Starking's Comic Craft he's a good friend of mine. I kind of haven't really had contact with him in a couple years now that I think about it. He used to be at all the shows and stuff. So he's done all kinds of logos and did all kinds of lettering in the day. And so I have it somewhere around here. I think it'll be in the work in progress sketchbook, the Chrono Mechanics sketchbook, the original Chrono logo. So I did it, and I have Comic Craft's version too. I'll put that in the book as well. So I did a hand drawing of it with the cogs and everything, and it was just kind of straightforward. It was a flat graphic. It wasn't three-dimensional. You know, like when you think of the Superman logo, it's kind of, you can see the sides and the bottom of it because it's kind of turned to the side. The original Chrono logo that I drew didn't have that. It was just a flat graphic. It wasn't three-dimensional. And so I gave that to Richard Starkings, and Starkings was like, no, this logo is never going to work. It's way too complicated. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I drew it out here for you. He goes, I'll work it up, but I'll tell you right now, it's not that good of a logo design. And I was like, okay. And so then I think we went off on a tangent, and I let him talk me into going off and him doing some other stuff. And to be honest, they were very stock. I think they were kind of stock letter fonts that he had and things like that. One of them I remember even looked like a circus font. It wasn't really like the one thing about Chrono Mechanics, and for right or wrong, everything is unique to the world. Like there's nothing that doesn't fit this universe. Even the logo, like everything is designed and exists in this world by design. Like it's all done by myself. And so I finally got him to do the logo, to do a version of the logo, and he did. And so if you notice the logo as well, it has all four of the characters' colors in it. So I remember telling him that. He's like, oh, that's just too busy. You got to have two colors. You have to do this. And I'm like, no, let's just try it. Like, I'm always that guy, like, let's just try it, right? Before we say no, let's just, and give it a good college try before you say no. And so he did it, and it was promising. I thought it looked pretty good. So we had all the colors in it. We had the cog with the clock face in the middle of the cog. We had the wrench that said mechanics on it. I mean, when you think about it, it sounds like a very complex logo, but I think when you see it as design, it freaking works, man. And so then I have a friend. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have a handful of really, really close friends that just do things. They just do things. I don't even have to ask them. They just volunteer stuff. And so he saw the logo on something. Maybe it was an ash can or something. And so he'd even tell me, he's a graphics designer. He designs toy packaging and all kinds of stuff. That's what he does for a living. He's an old roommate of mine. His name's Dan Jammer, or Daniel Morvik. And so if you guys live in Vegas, or if you live around the Southern California area, you'll know he's an entrepreneur. He has a store called Stupidiotic. So even type that in your search after the show. It's called Stupidiotic. And he has a big shop in Las Vegas. I think it's in Caesars. I think it was MGM, but maybe it's moved to Caesars now. But it's in one of the big casinos, and it's a shop, and it's a novelty shop, kind of like Spencer's. But by saying Spencer's, it's not doing this shop justice. This stuff is high end and just funny ass stuff. He's the guy that invented the pizza pouch. So you guys might know him by the pizza pouch that came out a couple years ago. It's a lanyard that you can have your hands, you can have your two hands, with pizza in them, and then you can put one in the pizza pouch for later, because you can never eat enough pizza. When there's pizza in the house, it goes fast. So yeah, he invented the pizza pouch and a couple other things. So they're kind of fun novelty items. And so I just get back, I get an email, and he sends this thing to me, and it's the Chrono Mechanics logo. And it's three-dimensional, like the Superman thing, so you get to see the sides of it. And also, he slanted it. So instead of a circle, which it originally was, he kind of like made it like it's tilted a little bit. It's slanted, so it gives it a little bit of energy. And my gosh, when I saw that thing, I was like floored. They were seemingly simple changes, but just so effective. And so that's the logo you see now. So I thank you, Daniel Morvik, for that. And you guys check out Stupidiotic when we're done here, because there's a bunch of fun stuff. The website is hilarious. It's just fun stuff. We used to be roommates when we lived in Huntington Beach. So we lived in Huntington Beach together. And also the statue that you saw the other day of Doug, the maquette, that was sculpted by Michael Smithson, and he was also one of our roommates. So we call it the apartment 3 days. So that's another story, because we actually had a production company, like multifaceted, like entertainment company called Apartment 3 or Apt 3. The clock is a little hidden. Yeah, but that's the thing, is it's not supposed to be all in your face. There's just a lot of elements to the logo. Yeah, there's just like clock hands that are there. So I remember what Chrono Mechanics reminds me of, sort of this French cartoon way back in the day called Once Upon a Time ... Life. Ooh, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, some people say it's a little like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I can see that. I wasn't really aware of that when I was coming up with it, but I always liked the book. Okay, Once Upon a Time ... Life. All right, I got some fun stuff to do later. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to bid you adieu. And thanks to everybody that has backed a Chrono book. It is still in demand. So next pay period, or the beginning of next year, it'll still be in demand. So come by and pick yourself up a copy. And we're still building this book, so it's not over yet. So 30K, we can get this, get those 12 pages, those extra 12 pages in your hands. I should say 6 pages, because 6 of them are already in your hands. And then all the cool, fun, free stretch goal stuff as well. So, Chrono Coin. I think FluxCore was listening to the chat last night with Ethan. So, Trevor, I still got to look at your drawings. I have a post-it with your stuff here. The clock is a little hidden. Yes. Jude, who's my favorite person today. I fell asleep partway through last night's stream. Yeah, it was long, but it was a lot of fun. And Ethan's a good guy. He really is. I know he gets a lot of crap, and but I think there's people that just, if you're on the right, um, you know you're a troublemaker if you voted for Trump, or if you're a Trump supporter, or just a Republican, I guess, in general. You can get yourself in trouble with some people today, which is weird. Okay, I do see one here. It's Wazard or Warzard. You should open a Teespring and make some black and white and Chrono Mechanics t-shirts. Um, would you guys support that? Would you want that? That's always the question. I could make anything, but it's just a matter of if you guys would want that or not. So, yeah, maybe I'll bring that up in another stream and give you guys, ask you the question, see if we can take a poll and see how many of you would actually want, some cool T-shirts. Because I actually have some Chrono T-shirt ideas with caution stripes and some cool designs that I've never actually seen before. And they would probably be a little expensive. They'd go beyond, the normal kind of iron-on T-shirt idea. These things would be pretty well designed. And my daughter does a lot of modeling, and she models clothing. I think they call it alternative stuff. And so I do have a connection with some manufacturers. So I could get those things made and get them made very, very well. Good quality stuff. 30% of the original target made on their stream. What is that? What is that, FluxCore? 30% of the original target made on their stream. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm getting kind of tired. So thanks you guys for hanging out. I'm gonna go down and probably grab some grub and maybe lay down for a minute or two. My wife is exhausted as well, man. She was here supporting me all last night. So we had a great time with all of you last night. Thanks again for supporting this channel and everything I do. Greatly appreciated, man. I got to read this. Trevor Wright says, I think some people are just jealous of EVS's following. Yeah, it's nothing short of amazing. And just this whole thing that we're all building is pretty special. And I think that time will bear it out. I think that time will show. It will look back on this moment and go, there's a bunch of punk rockers that were making comic books, like creator-owned books with their vision and selling them directly to, the audience, bringing them right to the people. Not through Diamond, not through, through Marvel and DC, but directly to their audience. And that's a pretty amazing thing. It might not seem like it to some of you guys, but I've been doing this for a long time, and it is truly amazing. So Shinto says bye. Went from 300% to I see what you're saying, FluxCore. Okay, very cool. Yeah, it's more the money aspect, Trevor. A lot of people hating on Ethan. The use of CG guys, where Zach haters from the time. Yeah, I think sometimes jealousy and success can breed anger, but it also inspires. So there's a lot of people that are also looking into doing stuff like this. So, I think that life always has the good and the bad. So to be a healthy human being, you have to realize that and know that, that's just what to expect. And sometimes it's hard because it feels personal when people attack you, but that's just how life works. So you guys